On today's show, back in the saddle, let's talk about PJ Washington Jr. and Daniel Gafford. How do they fit with the Dallas Mavericks? Let's hear what Isaac Harris has to say about it on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's good.
And the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. Making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, comment anything below, and let it ride. That's right. You can let it ride today. Oh, joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, Studio 41, the deadline dude, the PJ person, the Gafford guy, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
It's good to be back. It's good to talk some trades. Now that I can talk about them.
That's right. They're official. The Mavs sent us the emails. It's official. It can happen, and here we are talking.
It was my first trade deadline in which, you can't, team employees can't talk about anything until like the press release goes out. So I'm just like, oh, I can't tweet anything. Can't like anything.
You couldn't even tweet all yesterday, basically.
No, couldn't.
Dang,
But,
what a place to be.
But no, it's fun. You've been cranking out the content over the past 24 hours.
That's right. If you watched both Locked On NBA episodes yesterday and both Locked On Mavs episodes yesterday, you're my best friend. Comment below. I would like to know who you are. There may be a fruit basket sent to your house.
But no, I mean, I'm super excited about both the additions. It's like, you look at, I think anytime you make trades like this, you obviously look at what they gave out. And, some people want to focus on the draft pick stuff. Some people want to focus on the players and the win now stuff. The moment, you have Luka Doncic, everybody's talking about the timeline of his contract and all that stuff is like counting down. You got to win now. But the moment you sign Kyrie Irving, a 31-year-old Kyrie Irving, to a massive contract like you did, then you are committing for at least the next few years you're doing everything you can to win a championship. And like, you're going all in, like you're going for it. So, you go into this trade deadline, and it was, Nico that was talking after the game last night in New York. And he said, hey, we had 3 goals at the deadline. He said, we wanted to get bigger. We wanted to add depth in the front court, and we wanted to add a scoring punch to the front court.
Kind of check.
And he's like, I feel like we did all 3. And so you can look at it and say, all right, are the Mavericks a better team coming out of the trade deadline? Do they have a better chance to make a playoff run here coming up in a few months? Yes. You say yes. You say yes to the things that Nico and them wanted to accomplish. So I think that's the lens that you got to look at it right now. And yes, you can look at the pick swap, the pick they gave up for in the PJ deal and all that stuff later on. But I mean, on the grand scale of things, it's like, all right, I think you got to do a deal like this. And the added part about it is both these guys are still just 25 years old, and they're under contract for a couple more years after this. So you're not getting 30 games of PJ Washington and saying, all right, let's figure out if it's going to work or if we can sign him to a contract. So I think it was an awesome day for Dallas. In the words of Charles Barkley last night, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, I'm really happy today. And I was.
Yeah, you look at what the Mavericks have now. You start PJ Washington probably. You bring Gafford off the bench. Start Gafford at times. He can spot start for sure. You're like, all right, you added some stuff to this team and you got better. And we got better in the areas like Nico said, where the Mavericks needed to get better. You don't just get better like completely overnight and all of a sudden you overhaul the roster. There was no players that moved yesterday or even the last couple of days that would have made you go, oh, that's it. The Mavs roster is complete. That wasn't going to happen, right? They're starting from such a place of like asset depletion at the start of the Luka Doncic era, and then the Porzingis trade didn't work, and then a couple things just failed here and there. And so you're just starting from such a place that Nico had to resurrect this. You're going to have to spend money to make money. And so I think, like you said, the aggregate of what they gave out, you got 2 like pretty solid, like 25-minute a game, 30-minute a game rotation players
Thank you for putting the pick swap on there, because there was a graphic last night on TNT where it said Mavericks 2 first-round picks.
Yeah,
I was like, well,
well,
not
and so
necessarily.
then like some of our friends on Twitter and like we're posting today, the Mavs don't have any first round picks from 2027 to 2030. And I was like, that's not true. They have the pick swap in 2028. So they either have their own pick or they'll have OKC's pick, which is interesting. And then 2030, the one that got sent out for Grant Williams, is a pick swap too with the Spurs. And so they'll have a first round pick. They just don't own the rights to their pick. Like they don't get to decide where it is in the draft, basically. But overall, like you gotta spend money. And like, this is the thing that we were talking about yesterday when Slightly and I were doing our Bill and Russillo impressions on the show. Like, no one would do this about a LeBron team or about I guess like a Curry team or Kevin Durant team. Like, get really particular about, oh, you spent a first round pick. Oh, you paid a first round pick such a high price. It's like, no, you have to do that. Like, you got to get better at every single turn because you have this level and caliber of a player in Luka. And they went and did it. And like, there's still risk involved, but there's always a risk involved when you bring in a player. Even when the Nuggets brought in Aaron Gordon, which is like a slam dunk, amazing. We've been pointing at that move for 4 or 5 years now and be like, the Mavs need to do that. They need to get that guy. Aaron Gordon was not like a guaranteed awesome fit was going to be perfect with the Nuggets. They had to like make it work and figure it out. They gave up one first for him. The PJ Washington deal could look like that in like 4 or 5 years.
I mean, listen, you could dissect both of these guys individually, and which I did make a company plug real quick. Corner 3 episode is live on YouTube and today in audio, so you can go listen to that.
I was there.
Broke down all that stuff there. So on the Mavs YouTube. But when you look at both of those guys, you look at Gafford and PJ. I mean, you could look at PJ Washington just like John Hollinger did. It's like, cool. And like do the whole like, John Hollinger wasn't a big fan of the deal. He called it the best trade in Hornets history. In Mitch Kupchak's time as a
that says more about the Hornets, I think, than it says about this deal.
But it's like, you can look at PJ Washington and do the whole like, all right, he's good at all these things, but is he great at anything? You could do the whole like Daniel Gafford and be like, all right, there's some inconsistency with the motor and stuff early on, all that stuff. I'm like, all right, you're also playing for the Wizards and the Hornets. All right. So, I mean, we could stay here and go down. I mean, the Hornets right now have 10 wins. If you want to keep going after that, well, it's 10 wins. Last year, 27. The year before that, 43. Most wins since PJ's been there. 33, in his second year, 23 wins his first year. He's had 2 coaches, Borrego, Steve Clifford. We could go down and do we want to list the point guards that PJ Washington's played with Charlotte? Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, Teo Maledon, Dennis Smith Jr., Ish Smith. He does have LaMelo, but he's only played with the LaMelo 158 games, which is roughly half of his career.
That's not a lot.
So half of his career, he's played with one of these other point guards, which I like a lot of these other point guards. They're nice players, but I wouldn't say they're like floor general setup type of point guards that you're going to get in Luka Doncic. So now you get a guy that is talented as PJ Washington is. Now he's going to a situation to where we're all about winning right now. Like we're going for it. And you're going, he should play in his first some type of postseason action, this year. He's going to be playing with Luka Doncic. I would say Luka's probably an upgrade over Teo Maledon. So it's like, that's
these Mavs employees with their takes, man.
No, we got to look at some of the situations too. Gafford's played in the playoffs a little bit with Chicago.
But 5 games.
But he's coming from a Washington team that's really struggling this year. So you get these 2 guys that's coming from struggling teams, I'd say struggling franchises the past handful of seasons. And now they're going into a situation to where, hey, it's a different type of system now. And now you're playing with a guy that they've looked up to probably, and they've watched so much in Kyrie Irving that we've already seen how much Kyrie Irving has an effect leadership-wise on the young guys on the Mavs now. Now these guys get to play with it, Kyrie. They get to play with one of the best players in the game in Luka Doncic. And they're on a team that's going for it all right now. So it's just totally 2 different situations that these guys are coming from and entering into right now that I think it should be exciting for them in their career.
Yeah, this should definitely be motivating for them. The thing is, though, it is a risk for them and for the Mavericks, because they haven't really played. They've played 5 combined playoff games, and the 5 that that Gafford has played were with the Wizards 2 years ago. But like they just haven't played a lot of time like that, and a lot of like they also haven't played a lot of like really intense. We have to win this game basketball, and I'm fascinated to see that. But the good thing about that is you didn't bring them in as the second star. You've got those 2 guys. These are guys in the supporting like cast roles. The Mavericks needed better players in those supporting cast roles. And look at it the same way when Lively came in. Lively came in, and you're like, all right, this is a 19-year-old rookie. He's never played in the NBA, let alone a playoff game or a big game or something like that. And they've brought him in kind of, a little slowly, I guess, and upped his minutes. And then he's been great in his role because they only ask him to do like a certain amount of things.
Yeah. And that, Nico said last night, in New York, he said, when you have really good guards, you get really good shots. And, it's just a testament. When you're going to come to Dallas, you're going to get open shots and you're going to get lobs like Daniel Gafford's going to get. So, yeah, I'm excited to see these guys come in and fit into the system. And to your point where you're saying a while ago, they're also coming from these struggling situations, and they're going to play the same type of role here. In the past on Locked On Mavs, we have talked about, can't say players' names, but we have talked about some players that are maybe the number one option on bad teams, and them coming to Dallas and trying to fit into a different type of role that is a lesser type of role. And we're like, man, can they do that? Can they go from being Alpha or Batman on a different team and then come to Dallas and be in a lesser role? You're switching up the role, right? Like PJ's coming to Dallas and going to play a really similar role. Daniel Gafford's coming to Dallas and is going to play a really similar role, except he's just going to come off the bench. So you're not changing up that much for him anyway. You're just changing up the pieces around them.
Yeah, and you're getting what you needed too with those guys. Like those roles, they needed those guys. I mean, how long have we complained about center, and now they have Lively and Gafford as their 1-2 punch at center. Can be interchangeable. Either one of them can start. Both of them can rebound. Both of them can defend the rim. Both of them can catch lobs. Like they've got what they need now for 48 minutes, and you're not changing your play style each time a center comes in, which is great. And then PJ Washington, he feels like the type of player that his game fits in on any team. Like you could just throw him on any team literally, and he would fit in.
Let's talk about Gafford first for a second. They're kind of like, I mean, I was joking about it yesterday, and then like Jason Kidd said it last night too. He said he gives us a lot of what Derek, what D Live gives us. They're kind of Spider-Man meme-ish in the sense of, they're both high flyers. They're both going to get down there and rebound. They're both going to protect the paint. They're both going to be rim rollers, and that part is like just awesome to think about. That if Lively's missing a game. Everybody has nose issues in Dallas now, I guess.
Stop hitting Mavericks in the face.
And then, to your point of like 48 minutes of these centers, it's like, yeah, like Lively can go out, and then you put Gafford in and you still run, a lot of the same stuff. And I mean, Gafford in a pick and roll, it's crazy where he's at now, because Arkansas, he runs 39 possessions as a pick and roll man in his second season. It's his last season in Arkansas. Because I was doing all this, like, going back and look at draft profiles and all this stuff last night. Spent way too much time looking at Gafford, PJ Washington stuff. But I was going back and look at some of the stuff, honestly, reading some of our friend Jonathan Shark's stuff last night on different guys and stuff. And but when you look at Gafford, one of the things I seen was how weird it was that he didn't run pick and roll as much in Arkansas. And I was like, well, that's weird, because he's like the prototypical like pick and roll guy in the NBA. And I look back at it's like, well, yeah, if you got the point guard, that's what he said. And so it's like, I think he said cards at first. And I was like,
if it's in the cards with the guards,
if it's in the cards with the guards. So
taking it all the way to Menards. They don't even have those in Texas. They have them in Kentucky. They have them in Ohio.
I don't even know what that is.
Menards? It's like
is this a candy?
No, it's like a Home Depot type store.
No.
I thought they would have had them in Kentucky because they have them in Southern Ohio.
We have Lowe's and Home Depot. 84 Lumber. How many? I don't know how many hardware stores we can have.
My Midwest joke didn't land.
So Gafford had 39 possessions as a pick and roll man at Arkansas second season.
Been talking about this for 5 minutes.
And then this season, it's 22% of his offensive possessions. He's scoring 1.4 points possession as a roll man. Now, now imagine that playing with Luka or Kyrie, which I think he's going to play a lot. Bobby mentioned, said this morning that he's like, I think he's going to have a lot of minutes with Luka, because just because look at the rotation, minutes and all that stuff. But that's, you can look at blocks. I mean, just a simple average blocks per game. There's only 8 players in the league that average over 2 blocks a game. Wemby, Brook Lopez, Kessler, Chet, AD, Nick Claxton, Gafford, and Rudy Gobert. He's literally one of the best shot blockers in the game. So, I mean, he's going to come off the bench, protect the paint. He's going to catch some huge lobs. He's kind of like a young DeAndre, like a youngish. He's just like a youngish DeAndre. Like, it's like,
no, I agree. I agree with you.
Youngest DeAndre Jordan in the sense, and I made this joke this morning on the Corner 3. Is like, dude, if you like dunks, this is your Mavs team, right?
New Lob City.
Honestly, I'm like, this should be a lot of fun, like with dunks and high flyers. Derrick Jones Jr. Obviously, you have Lively and Gafford. Josh Green just like destroyed DiVincenzo, and
don't forget the best lob catcher on the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving, who caught the greatest lob of the season so far.
Dude, I freaked out when that dunk happened.
Just the audacity, and then he cocked it back behind his head too, and then threw, like, with all the injuries he's had too, and thumb injury and all that, like, didn't care. That's Kyrie, man. He doesn't care about that stuff. He just wants to do cool stuff. Hold on. He just wants to do cool. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I haven't heard any other drops right now.
Oh, you are?
You gotta ask them. I'm just the coach.
You got any new ones since I've been gone?
Oh, I got to use this one last night because it was an old one, but Daniel Gafford wearing the number 21, taking that number from the legend, the last player to wear 21 for the Dallas Mavericks.
People forget about Frank.
Frankie Smokes.
Frankie Smokes. With that one though, we got here.
Explain yourself.
Sorry.
Oh man,
a great one.
That was shout out to
classic
draft out of that. I also like how much Gafford like moves. Like he is an energy guy. I mean, both the guys are energy guys, and that they're just always moving. He has great transition numbers. He has great cutting numbers. And that just shows me that you're not just a center that's going to come down on the floor and just stand in one spot. He's going to move. He has a lot of energy, and they need that. They need more guys with energy.
Like a normal person today, I woke up and made breakfast, and as I was doing it, I threw on Daniel Gafford highlights just in the background of my life, just just to watch. And like his touch around the rim is really good too. How many times have we seen Maverick centers in the last couple of years? Probably not Lively, but others, where they get the ball around the rim and then they try and take it up, or even like think about Grant Williams. Like, sorry, Grant, but even thinking about him, like trying to finish around the rim. Gafford will throw it down. Like all the stuff that people complain about with DeAndre Ayton, where he doesn't finish with force and doesn't, put it down. Gafford will put it down, and he'll like catch the ball high, keep it high, like the stuff they teach you in grade school of like, that kind of stuff where you catch it, keep it up high and put it back. And like, I was watching a game where he had a bunch of putbacks and, shots around the rim against Embiid. He doesn't care about that. And he can push him out of the way because he's strong enough. And like, man, the Mavs center position, maybe this year, but definitely next year when Lively's going into year 2 is like a strength of their team. And that is a weird thing to say. How long have you and I like sat here and like tried to find centers and look through centers, and we're like talking ourselves into Christian Coloco in the draft and all this stuff. And here we are with 2 like good centers.
I mean, I was pretty confident in a center addition they made last year for 10 to 15 minutes a night, but that didn't work.
I don't have that drop anymore. I can probably put it back on real quick.
You brought up Grant a little bit ago. Which one? Shout out to Grant. Going back home, he was fun personality to have on the team.
Wait, which center was it?
JaVale McGee.
So for Grant, it's fun having him in Dallas in the sense of like just a good overall dude. And yeah, big support of the Wings, just a fun personality. Played chess with Bobby. It was a fun video, and just fun dude. But it's I don't know how much you want to compare it to JaVale, but like on paper, probably more for Grant than JaVale. Like on paper, it was a great fit, and it's like you look at, bringing him in and this 3-and-D guy, and sometimes it just doesn't fully, work out in that sense. But it's when you look at Grant, because Grant and PJ is naturally going to be compared to each other. They're traded for each other. They're, same position basically.
Same draft where draft people,
same draft
where people were comparing them in the draft too.
Yeah. So, with Grant, it's kind of like evolving to, Bobby brought this up this morning. He was talking about Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie and how having those 3-and-D guys was crucial and key for the team. But the next evolution of that is you got to have some guys that are 3-and-D, but they can dribble too. Yes. And they can put the ball on the floor. And I would say Grant probably falls more into that Reggie and Dorian camp of the 3-and-D guy, to where Grant's the better shooter than PJ, and leaving him open 40% shooter, all that stuff. Why are you laughing?
I was laughing because I was remembering when Grant Williams got traded to the Mavericks, and you and I started looking up the amount of drives that Bullock took, and it was 0, and the amount of drives that Grant took, and it was 2, and we were all excited about it because they're
whoa,
at least he drives a little bit, and now we're taking it to the next level where Nico has upgraded this spot again to say he can do a little bit more with the ball.
Exactly. So now you look at PJ to where you're sacrificing a little bit of the shooting at Grant, which PJ could shoot the ball too. He's just, let's see what PJ looks like now with more open catch and shoot shots, playing with Luka, where he's going to play on the weak side corner maybe, and either shoot that 3 or cut for a lob or something like that, which I didn't even mention PJ watched a while ago when it comes to dunking. But PJ can put it on the floor. PJ can pump fake and get into the paint. PJ can, once he gets near the basket, he's 63% around the rim this year. He's 55% on floaters this year. I mean, this is stuff you look at that. I mean, you just want to hook your veins up to something. Watch the 43-point game in January. It's I was watching so much stuff, but I went back and watched some of that stuff too. And I was like, all right, well, you can watch this and convince yourself that he's going to be,
highlights. You can watch anything and be like, oh my gosh. Well, the classic highlight guy was Moses Brown. Everybody talked themselves into Moses Brown.
Remember those days?
Remember that was going to be the center.
Yeah, I remember Christian Wood days too. So with PJ, I mean, he's gonna get those little push shots, those little jump hooks, the floaters there in the paint. He's got the touch, and those are gonna be there all day for him. And I mean, he's just going to feast when it comes to that. So I'm excited for that. It's the evolution of the wing spot of having guys that are not just 3-and-D. He's got to improve the consistency of his outside shot, but he can put the ball on the floor, and defensively too. Look at some of his rim protection stuff and defending around the basket. Now you can have a guy out there, Grant, very physical guy, stocky guy. He could switch off on some of the, the fives in the league and hold his ground. No one's going to back down Grant and all that stuff. But verticality wise, Grant was a little limited.
Wingspan challenged.
Yeah, with the vertical leap and wingspan, yeah, all that. PJ doesn't struggle with that. He's going to defend the paint. So now you're going to have a couple different guys out there that could defend I mean, you have PJ and Derek Lively, PJ, Daniel Gafford. You have Derek Jones Jr., PJ, and a Lively out there. Now you got multiple guys that can protect the rim, that can play above the rim, and have a long wingspan. I mean, both Gafford and PJ have 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. Yeah. So it goes back to what Nico wanted to do. What everybody's been clamoring, for the Mavericks, or in the next step of the Mavs, is they got to get bigger. When you're rolling small ball lineups out and Luka is the tallest guy on the floor, we got an issue. And now that shouldn't really be the issue anymore. And now you got, bigger size, more versatility out there.
Yeah. I think the bench of the Mavericks got a lot better as well, because then now you add Gafford to the bench. There could be a buyout. There could be a buyout option that you're not allowed to talk about. So I won't
they have one roster spot.
Got a roster spot.
We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes. Friend of mine, Anthony Irwin, said, covers the Lakers and used to host Locked On Lakers here, said that his sources, which I'm assuming are lots of Lakers side, are saying that Dinwiddie is coming to the Mavericks. And so we'll see if that ends up being the case. We saw Mark Cuban at the Knicks game talking to him. I don't know if it was about crypto or a roster spot or not, but if they add a guard like that, this bench all of a sudden becomes, it's Tim Hardaway, Gafford, Maxi Kleber goes back to the bench. You feel good about that if you're healthy. Derek Jones Jr. goes to the bench. He has done a really good job, I think, starting this season, but his 3-point shot has really fallen off. Dante Exum.
Who's the fifth starter for you? Is it Josh?
It's Josh. Yeah.
Okay. I think me too, but
you could it could still be Derek Jones. It could still be Exum. Like Exum could still come back and start. And I bet if I had to bet, like I bet that's where Jason Kidd goes with him. I just want to see Josh, but
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
That was a long time ago, but I just think Josh has played really well in that spot recently.
No, I agree. He's playing really good basketball, and so yeah, right now as the roster is currently constructed, you could look at, let's just say Josh is a starter. Well, you have Exum, Tim Hardaway, Derek Jones Jr., Maxey, and Gafford as your next five. Then it's Hardy, Omax, Markieff, whoever after that. I was trying to think of who the 11th, 12th, 13th.
The one that will never go away.
Dwight. Sorry.
You're wearing his hat. You're wearing his hat with his number on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby made a joke this morning. It's like, what kind of face gear are we getting on Saturday? We're gonna have Dwight goggles, Luka, I think a mask,
fitted mask.
Lively a mask. It feels like there's something. I mean, Maxey got hit again in New York.
Oh my gosh, he was bleeding again.
If we have 3 people with masks, I'll die. We need team pictures.
I was gonna say they should just all come out with masks. They should just, the Mavericks. You know what they should do? They should invest in fitted masks for everybody, just in case, because it just seems like a curse has happened.
They should give them away to everybody in the arena.
Yeah, just the paper ones that you. That would be amazing. If Luke has to wear it for a while into the playoffs, like game 1, everyone should get a mask in the arena. That'd be hilarious.
I would love it.
Had they never done that with the Pistons? I feel like they should have done that with Rip Hamilton.
I don't know. Maybe. I think there's at least the shirts
with the mask on it. Also, I need to tell you, I'm a little uncomfortable with how much you're talking about Bobby. It's like you have a new best friend, and it's like you're talking about the new.
I do more shows with Bobby now.
But you'll never do more total with Bobby. You guys will never catch up. You'll never catch up to how many weeks.
I'll have to be in a nursing home.
You'll never leave Studio 41.
Bobby, teach me how to play chess. We got to record. We got to hit that.
Hold on, Bobby. Hold on, Isaac. I got to catch this Pokemon.
I will say this.
Call it man by then.
To plug something else, I am supposed to launch my own show after the All-Star break. So
okay.
Yeah, we'll see. You're definitely going to have to hop on sometime, but
they'll let me on.
I'll give more details post All-Star break.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like Hardy and Omax got really pushed down the ladder after this trade deadline.
Did Omax really get pushed down? Because I don't know how far you can get pushed down.
Well, there's just no shot now because with all the injuries, I mean, he hasn't even played. I've wanted him to play, but here we are.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. Also see what happens to the last roster spot. If the last roster spot goes to a guard, like is being speculated, then there you go. If the last roster spot goes to another wing or something, then he's really pushed down there. But ultimately, if Omax is playing a lot in crunch time of like a big game right now, then there's some other issues. So it's just going to take a little time for him. So yeah, I mean, I think that's another angle of this too. Of you got better, you brought in 2 25-year-olds, you got bigger, all this stuff, and you also kept all your young guys. Like you kept a Jaden Hardy, you kept it Omax, you kept it Josh Green. There's so many reports out there about teams wanting Josh Green and stuff, and so it's like you kept all of your young guys, all of your main core pieces, even your rotation pieces that we both know Seth and Rashawn wasn't playing very much. Grant was playing a lot, so you're swapping out Grant for 2 guys that like Gafford and PJ are going to play. You're not trading for 2 guys, and you're like, well, I don't know what kind of role they're going to have.
Yeah, they're
going to play. They're going to play 20, 22 minutes a night at least. So. We both think that PJ is going to be a starter. So probably not on Saturday, but in the near future. So yeah, there's just, they definitely got better, and I don't see any other way around that.
I'm thinking about the Gafford Maxey bench lineups where you throw those guys out there, and then I may be able to stomach the Tim Hardy lineups. Like the Tim Hardy Kyrie lineups the other night were just sending me. I just couldn't deal with them anymore. But if you got Maxey and Gafford under the rim to defend on defense and also to grab rebounds, I think that's I think that's a really nice lineup you can throw out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the other thing. Maxi's, looking healthy right now, playing good basketball. They got to watch his
Defense was
minutes. You
good.
got to keep him healthy, for the playoffs. But you still have that ability too to where, like, yeah, they have Dwight as the air quote third center now, which I would assume that Dwight doesn't play very much at all, unless there's an injury to Lively or Gafford. Because if Lively or Gafford's not on the floor, which I don't foresee a ton, it's probably going to be Maxey as the stretch 5. They started him against New York, or in some cases, PJ Washington at the 5, and it's like super, flexible. If you're playing a Clippers or something like that, and they're running some of these guys at the 5, so they got a lot of versatility, a lot of flexibility moving forward right now.
If they do add a guard in the buyout, let's say it's a guard.
A guard.
Whoever that guard is. Is this the deepest team Luka's ever had? It's got to be.
Maybe.
To me.
Yeah.
Definitely deepest, like top.
I mean, I caution those conversations because I felt like people were saying that at the beginning of the year too. It's like, man, super deep team. It's like because we hit, and it's mainly because we hit gold with 2 minimum guys in Dante Exum and Derek Jones Jr. that makes this team, deeper and stuff. So
and the rookie with Lively.
Yeah, true. But we also just got, I mean, like, are we going to have a stretch in which all 10 of those players that I just said, not even including Hardy and Omex, are healthy and playing?
Oh my gosh, I wish.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, hopefully we do. And then everybody can get back to arguing on who should play over who. And then, when the Mavs lose a game, then it's why did X player not play? And when they win a game, it doesn't matter. And
that's been the Clippers' problem the last couple of years. They're too deep, and then all of a sudden, you like coaches and playing the right guys. That could happen.
What's been some of the I gotta quiz you about the fandom and stuff, right? Like, what's been some of the biggest arguments right now or debates?
I feel like
I don't get to really engage in these anymore.
You're up in your ivory tower over there on Stemmons Freeway. I feel like the debate about whether they should have paid those first or whether they spent too much to get not enough of an improvement. There's been some
in the PJ Gafford deals.
Yeah, in both of them. But I think some of that was the confusion about the first round picks and however many that they still have. They have 2 first round picks they could use this summer, and they have 4 second rounders now.
4 seconds.
We didn't even really talk about that. They didn't use any of their second round picks. They have 4 second round picks to use this summer or around the draft. And
we saw seconds make some deals happen, yesterday. So, or on Thursday. So some seconds actually with this new CBA stuff and how things are shifting, it feels like this, second round picks are getting a little bit more they're not going to be first round picks, whatever, but they're a little bit more valuable now.
They're the lube of the trade deadline.
I just can't wait for day 2 of the draft to watch the second round.
And the Mavs could be involved in that in day 2. And they'll have time. They'll have 24 hours between the 2 so that they can make trades.
They doubled the amount of time in between picks in the second round. That's really?
I love that. I'm for it. We don't care who gets drafted. I just care about the trades that are going to happen at that time. Yeah, no, this is I feel better about this team than I did yesterday or than I did on Wednesday. They just got to get healthy. And now one of the things that I have seen from fans is all right, we've got a pretty deep team now and with legitimate players. It's on Kid and Luka and Kyrie. All right, there's less excuses now for them. I feel like that's sort of a thing that I'm seeing a lot.
For sure. I mean, health is the biggest thing. We got to get these guys playing, together more. I mean, Dame and Giannis have played more games and more minutes together than Kyrie and Luka. And that shouldn't be the case, but it is. And it just shows that they got to play more games together and for them to be at the highest level that they can be at. And then, I mean, Jason Kidd has more, parts to the car now. So whatever.
I forgot about that one. Wait, I gotta.
I want to touch the car. And I think he's talking about Luka in that one, but
oh my gosh, that was so funny.
And we'll see what happens on Saturday. It's a 2 p.m. tip against OKC. Obviously, OKC's the best team in Western Conference right now. I thought they made a
I don't
solid
think-
trade.
I don't think either of them. I don't think either of the guys play in that game. It's too quick.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility they could play. I don't think either one of them starts, but there's a possibility one or both of them could play. You got to see how.
That'd be cool.
With some stuff on Friday. Yeah, and then get a couple more games. Then it's the All-Star break, and then they've been kind of chill for a bit and gear up for the final stretch.
This Mavs team needs it. And they have, what is it, Spurs and Wizards are the next 2 games after the Thunder on Saturday. We've got 2 winnable games, 1 tough game that's a weird afternoon on Saturday. And so it's an
Rashawn Holmes revenge game.
Rashawn Holmes revenge game.
So I want to, be able to touch the car.
Classic. The classic. Go listen to Isaac on Studio 41, the Dallas Mavericks YouTube channel. I can't believe I'm promoting the Dallas Mavericks YouTube channel, but here we are on that, and go check him out. He'll have a new show after the All-Star break called The Ides of Isaac.
I don't know what. Well, I'll give details on that later on. And then on Wednesdays, we do a lunchtime stream on Wednesdays, and it's more chill, laid back. And Nick normally hops in the chat and starts saying funny stuff and all that.
That's true. That's true. There you go, guys. Thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out. Peace out.
Boom.